I want to just talk about the United States military in particular. There was recently a commission on the National Defense Strategy, which was a independent panel that was put together by Congress to take a look at the United States defense posture and capabilities. Among its conclusions, it said, number one, that the threats we're facing right now as a country are the most serious we've faced since at least 1945. But the other more bracing conclusion is it said it wasn't clear if we had to go to war now that we would be prepared to win. And so one, I'm curious if you agree with that assessment. And two, again, if you could put your hat back on, where if you were advising the next president on the most important steps that they can make to revitalize the military, what would those be?
Well, I think there's a couple of things that should be addressed. I would not just limit it to the new administration. I mean, I think it's very important for the new Congress as well. No enemy has done more damage to the United States military than this really convoluted budgeting process we've had that's kept us in continuing resolutions for a large part of every budget year, has prevented us from moving out on new programs that we need, and has, I think, really limited our buying power across the Department of Defense. So we need to get aligned here between the administration and Congress, and certainly the Pentagon here, and make sure that our military has the resources at the time that it needs. I mean, the budgets are big. I get that. I understand that. There's a reason for that. But the way that the resources get to our forces, particularly with so many continuing resolutions and so many other workarounds with this, rather than approved budgets, I think really limits our ability to get after the things that our services and our combatant commanders have identified as necessary. So I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is we have to pay attention to our own industrial base here in the United States. I think the last statistics I saw, for example, and as an example of this, I think China has nearly 2 million square feet of shipbuilding space. We have something over 100,000. So not a lot. We really lack the infrastructure that we need to be able to scale up for the challenges that we are facing. I mean, look at things like artillery rounds. The Army, I think, has done great work over the last couple of years to increase the number of 155 artillery rounds. The principal munition that is being used in Ukraine right now, and we've gone from 15 to 20,000 to a rate of about 50,000 a month, and we're continuing to grow up in that. But it's taken us a couple years to get there. And by the way, we only had one plant that was building these at the beginning, so we've had to look at this. I think the diversification, the expansion, the modernization of our industrial base, I think is absolutely a critical thing. And I don't want to say we're too late, but we really need to get going on this, because China is well in advance of us in terms of their manufacturing production capacity, and that should be a real concern for us. I think the third area we have to pay some attention to is certainly in our acquisition and how we buy things and how we bring it in. I mean, I think there's, we have a problem with how we acquire capabilities and equipment for the military. We're still very much focused on things like cost, schedule, performance, and we're not focusing enough on the innovation and leveraging commercial technology to get the things out to our troops that we need. We need to learn from the experience that we're seeing in Ukraine right now, where we're buying equipment in tranches, we're taking things directly out of the commercial market, and we're applying them for national security purposes. And then when we're done with it, we're going to get rid of it, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. We need serious look at this acquisition process, which I think is a real tire around our neck right now as we move forward. And I guess the final thing I would just say on the people side, I know there's been a lot of focus on recruiting here over the last year, and I'm very happy to, that my service, the Army, and the one I came from, met their requirements this year, as did most of the service. I think the Navy was the only one that came up a little bit short in this. There's been some great initiatives put in place by the services to address this. And I just know from what the Army has done. I mean, things like soldier referral programs, program to help improve recruits before they show up at basic training, so they're better prepared, they're more physically fit, they can meet the standards that we have for educational requirements and other things like this. These are important programs, and I think we're doing good with that. And I have confidence the military will continue to move forward in that. We need help from the American public, though. We need more discussion on the value of service to the nation in uniform, or service to the nation in many other ways. So we need more of a national dialogue on the importance of service, and I think that will help us. I think as we move forward as well.